Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State on Monday ordered the closure of the Onitsha Main Market for 1 week. Traders defied the state's directive to open for business on Monday, continuing to observe the outlawed IPOB sit-at-home order. The governor has described the action as a necessary step to reclaim the state from fear and lawlessness, but critics argue it punishes the very people the government is meant to protect. Take a look.
And so on. This whole area, we're going to cordon it off in the first instance for the first 1 week. If we come on Monday and it is locked and any shop is not, we'll lock it for 1 month. Are you hearing me?
Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State on Monday ordered the closure of the Onitsha Main Market for 1 week. Traders defied the state's directive to open for business on Monday, continuing to observe the outlawed sit-at-home order. The governor has described the action as a necessary step to reclaim the state from fear and lawlessness, but critics argue that it punishes the very people the government is meant to protect. Joining us now to unpack the rationale behind his decision is the Senior Special Assistant to New Media to Governor Soludo, who is also the National Publicity Secretary of APGA, Mazi Ejimofor Opara. Thank you very much for joining us, Mazi Opara.
New Year.
Happy New Year. It's good to have you.
Thank you for joining us.
It just started that we're having you on very controversial terms. Now, many will argue that what Governor Soludo is doing is akin to cutting your nose to spite your face. And they ask, does the governor have the right to decide and determine that independent business owners not working for the government must show up in the market, regardless of whether they are afraid for their lives or their businesses?
Okay, thank you very much. And let me start from the analogy you gave about cutting the nose to spite your face. I think what the governor is actually doing is actually trying to fix a nose that has been cut so that the face would not continue to suffer some level of spite, because in the last 5 years in the southeast, we have come under very intense, if you like, guerrilla attacks by non-state actors who have usurped what you may term as legitimate authority and has governed by fear and terror. And the state has over time deployed a lot of other strategies to ensure that legitimate authority is regained and that the confidence of the people is restored, and went quite very bullish in attacking these non-state actors. And from the reports on ground and the evidence that are available, these particular criminal bodies have been very, very much diminished, and the examples are telltale. But one thing you have to understand is that in their trail, they have left a lot of some kind of fear. They have evoked this fear through unmitigated violence, through a lot of very despicable means. And this was what gave rise to the, like you rightly mentioned, outlawed sit-at-home that has brought about a lot of economic hardship to the people. When people say these things, they think or they forget the bit that this market and the economic activities that are grounded by the infamous and outlawed sit-at-home does not necessarily affect government. No, there's a bit to it that people do not want to talk about. And that's the bit about those who wrestle a livelihood on a daily basis. These are people who, if they don't sell per day, their lives are almost shut down and all that. But this particular set of people or class of people have had their voice over the years drowned by these mammoth, if you like, noisemakers who are trying to impose on others what is legally not permissible. And this is where the government intervention has come in. Now, apart from the economic sabotage that has more effect, more damning effect on these individuals I mentioned, there is a totality of losses that is incurred, that the state incurs in terms of its perception, in terms of the ease of doing business, in terms of the how do I put it now? The image of the state in attracting credible investment. So the state cannot continue to fold its arms and watch these things go unabated. And this is exactly why the governor, before this order, has engaged in series of dialogue, in series of, if you like, carrot approach, with these marketers, trying to do every bit of what they had wanted or what they had requested of government, which at the heart of it is the provision of life, is the provision of security. Anambra today in the southeast happens to be, one of the safest states in the southeast. And if you look at what happened over the Yuletide, in the last 2-3 Yuletides, Anambra has had a very seamless celebration. And we had, in this last one, millions of people thronging into the state, both indigenes and non-indigenes. And our Christmas celebration happens to be, one of, you can characterize as the most momentous ever in the annals of the state. So you discover that what we're now dealing is some psychological relapse, because like the governor said in the video you played, when an abomination goes beyond a year, it tends to get normalized. But an abomination remains an abomination. And this is where the government intervention on this issue has become quite germane. And what I can tell you for free is that a preponderant number of people you may call the silent masses, the actual marketers that trade in that main market, are in full support of the government. If you look at the interview granted by the chairman of the Market Association, he said it very pointedly that this closure is long overdue. So if you like, what the government is doing currently is what behavioral psychologists will call operant conditioning. Because if you continue to allow this thing to fester, the people will continue to suffer, the image of the state will continue to go down, investments will continue to leave the state, because you are talking about the most productive day of the week being hijacked by, criminals in every sense of it. So who in their own thinking have usurped the right of a legitimate and well-constituted authority? And we say no to it. The state must remain the sole possessor of legitimate authority and force in every single society.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know you've gone ahead to explain a lot, but please, I want us to take it one at a time. And I'd just like you to answer very briefly to the series of questions I just have to ask. Because what we have now is a situation where most people don't have the internal details. And it's our job to bring these details to the people. And that's what we want to do now. So I'm going to start off by asking just a series of questions. I just need your answers as short as possible. My first question is, did the governor meet with the market prior to this decision? Were there previous meetings?
I have just said here in my opening that there were series of meetings with the market leadership. Series of meetings with the market leadership. And like I said, there has been a long, if you like, in the last 3-4 years, there has been this protracted, offering of carrot by Mr. Governor. And like I said, they made their own demands. And at the heart of it is that the state must ensure that the marketers are well and fully protected. And I can tell you that the security architecture in Anambra today, if not the best in the entire country, it's that is now being simulated by sister states in the southeast. So there is no saying that these guys are afraid because they will be hurt if they come out. No, it's no longer about fear. It's about the people relapsing. It's about some psychological relapse right now. And the state is taking this action just to jolt them back to reality.
Okay, so we can rightly say that there were a series of meetings.
Yes.
Are there adequate security provided? Is there adequate security provided for these people? If there is, can you tell us what has been done?
I can tell you that in Anambra today we have what you may call a multi-layer security architecture, from the constituted what you may call vigilante. We call them Agune Chamber here. These are the locals who are spread across all the communities, all the cities, all the streets of the state. Gotten from the people themselves. These are people who understand the terrain. You talk about another security architecture that you may call this Anambra State Anti-Touting squad. that are also there to maintain law and order and ensure security. Before you now go into the formal policing structures that you have, where you have the police, the civil defense, the military, and all that. So right around every nook and cranny of Anambra, particularly at the heart of Onitsha, where main market exists, okay, there is a preponderant presence of security agencies, both the formal policing structures and the informal policing structures, and all these have been embellished with the ironclad Anambra Homeland Security Law that is guiding their operation. So they can't come up to comfortably or conveniently argue that sufficient security has been provided for them to trade.
All right. If you say that there were meetings had with the leaders in the market, I mean, I can see from here, like you said rightly, that the chairman of the Onitsha Main Market in Anambra State, Chijoke Opala, applauded this and said that this is the way to end the sit-at-home order. Now, if you say that there were a series of meetings, we did see videos of people who went on protest yesterday. Who are these people?
Like I said in my opening, you see, there's this saying in Igbo that even when you cure madness, that it's almost very impossible to also eliminate the nutrients at the same time. So the kind of nutrients that come with madness. So these things are what you saw yesterday are symptomatic of the kind of pervasive harm that the activities of these non-state actors has routed across the Southeast, not just in Anambra. So these persons you see, what the government is doing is actually to save the society from itself, to save people from themselves. These guys you see are largely uninformed, I can tell you, largely uninformed. The actual owners of the market, the actual traders of this market, you can't find them on that. You can't find them on the street. You can't find them on the street. And as we advance in this strategy, before this particular order elapses by Sunday, you would realize that the actual wheat would have been separated from the chaff, because these persons you see, for want of better word, are just some, misinformed young persons who are just, trying to, raise what I may call the last kicks of a dying horse. So we're getting to the point where there will be very intense psychological orientation, where they will begin to understand that what government is actually doing is in their best interest. But for now, that's what it is.
Regardless of whether or not what government is doing is in their best interest, let's talk about the legality of it or otherwise. Can the government legally insist that people return to the market, especially when these people are not government workers? We hear that the government has decided to prorate the salaries of civil servants, which we can understand because these ones are government workers. But businessmen are not working for the government. They are working for themselves. So can the government legally, one, insist that they return to market? Two, can the government legally, as a punitive measure, shut down the market for 1 week as a result of their refusal to resume in the market on Monday?
Government established or created to do. In society, we have both the formal and informal sector. Maybe the formal sector is the one you may directly say, like the civil service and the public service that are under the direct employ of the government. And of course, government as their employer can be able to raise up some kind of strategies and direct punitive measures in checking, some misbehavior or misgivings within them. But also there's the informal sector. And the informal sector is not a lawless sector. So as long as the informal sector exists within the confines of a state that is legally constituted and guided by the rule of law, then of course they also must understand that their misgivings or misbehaviors can also be corrected by the government that they have elected, to provide direction and provide order for them. And at the heart of the Soludo administration, one of the pillars is governance in the security law and order. So there's no way you can have a developed society without order. There's no way you can have a developed society without the laws. So the marketers, yes, they own their businesses, but businesses are even governed by the law. You cannot say you own your shop and therefore you can do as you will in that shop. No. Once you begin to act in ways that contravene or undermine public interest or undermine public peace, government is bound to intervene. So everything the government is doing on the Onitsha Main Market is within the rights of the government, is within the laws, and if they feel substantially injured by the order of the government or what government has what government is doing, then the courts are there for them to approach. They can approach the court and seek for redress. But as it were, we are not a banana republic. You don't just wake up and for an order that was given by a in fact, for an order that lacks locus in the first place, coming from an outlawed non-state actor, for it to become the more or less like the lifestyle, the regular, the norm of a people under the watch of a legitimately constituted authority that now more or less amounts to an affront to the authority.
All right, I'm sure that you're aware, and in case you aren't aware, that there's a case in court, and this case was brought up last year in October 2025. I'm just going to read very briefly. It said traders at Udoka line section of the popular Ogbogu drug market in Onitsha, Anambra State have sued the caretaker committee leadership of the market, led by Chukwulota Ndubuisi, over unlawful closure of the section of the market. The traders, numbering over 100, brought the matter before the Onitsha High Court during their pre-trial hearing. And these are some of the rights they're seeking. They're seeking the enforcement of their fundamental rights to property and dignity and the reopening of their shops closed since August 2024. And they're also claiming the sum of 5 billion naira for damages. They are also seeking several reliefs. They say that there is a declaration that they are seeking a declaration that the closure of the section of the market since August 2024 was illegal, unconstitutional, and in contravention of their fundamental rights to personal liberty and dignity guaranteed by sections 34 and 35 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, as well as articles 5, 6, and 23 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights Ratification and Enforcement Act. And I'm sharing this so you know that we already have a pending case like this. Do you worry about the possibility of this leading to a plethora of court cases against the Anambra State government?
Wonderful. That's the beauty of democracy. That is the beauty of constitutional democracy. You get the point. Like, and for me, I salute the sophistication of the Anambra populace. Whatever it is that you must do to enforce your right or get the privileges that are accruable to you as a citizen of the country, that are within your constitutionally approved rights and privileges, go and seek for it. But like you rightly said, the matter is still pending in court, and you and I. We're not lawyers. I'm not a lawyer, but we know a few things about the law. That once a matter is pending in court,
you're not a lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
No other person. It becomes sub judice for one to actually talk about it or want to adumbrate in any way around the matter. So they are in court. It's good. Whatever it is that the court decides upon, whether for or against, there are still other avenues, within the law that can be explored to also seek redress, either for the plaintiff or for the defendants. So whatever it is.
Are you there?
Well, it seems that we seem to be disconnected from your audio. We hope that you can reconnect so we can hear you. There's an audio lag. And on the lighter note, well, you said you are not a lawyer. I am a lawyer, unfortunately. I'm the only lawyer here. And yes, I recognize that the matter is sub judice. The court has adjourned till the 3rd of February, and there'll be a follow-up in that matter. I'm hoping that we can reconnect with you and have our final thoughts.
Yeah.
And especially looking at what next, what is to be expected. Are you connected with us, Mazi?
Mazi Opara, are you there?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
Okay. So if you can hear us, just one last question from my end. Next week, Monday, would be a huge determining factor because the governor has given till Monday, but build up to Monday when people will open their shops, we've seen protests that started already. So let's see what will happen on Monday. And my comment is not it's not a question. I'm just trying to highlight that we would love to have you back, hoping that Monday this entire problem would have been solved and everybody will return back to their shops and business.
Let me also inform you that the market leadership has sought for another meeting with the government, and of course, Governor Soludo is a large-hearted man, driven by empathy, and much as he's empathetic to whatever be the applied right now, but he's also committed to ensuring, law and order in the society. So they have sought for a meeting with government, and that meeting will take place by tomorrow. Thursday, but the market remains short, pending further negotiations. But I can tell you for free that once it has to do with issues of the law and legality and order in society, Governor Soludo is not a man whose resolve should be tested. So if by next week Monday they don't open again, I can bet you that place will be shut down for the next 30 days.
You know, the governor had also said that he doesn't even mind, if I recall correctly, that the market can be shut till the end of the year if he has to pass across a message to, you know, ensure that this sit-at-home order comes to an end.
Absolutely, and he means every word of that. He means every word. He means every word.
Even the statement of destroying the markets, does it mean that? Huh?
You don't test the resolve of Soludo. You can ask those around.
But
once it has to do with ensuring law and order, you don't test Soludo's resolve.
You say you don't test Soludo. You sound like you're speaking about an autocratic ruler. Like it's not a democratic elected governor that was put there to serve if you may please allow me land, that was put there to serve the interest of the people. The governor is there as a chief servant to Anambra. And if he goes there and makes these laws or these decrees, it's not, many would argue that it's not taking into consideration the collateral damage, which will be worse than the initial damage. He made reference to how much is being lost weekly in Anambra to the tune of billions because of sit-at-home order for one day. Now he's shutting down the market for 1 week and has said if he has to, he will shut it down for 30 days and even till the end of the year if he has to. So is it really about Anambra, about ensuring we revive the economy of Anambra State? Or is it an ego trip we are seeing at play here? Is this an ego issue?
Like I said, so it's not an ego issue. But let me also tell you that when it has to do with ensuring law and order in society, there's no price too much to pay for liberty. As a matter of fact, if these things are like cancer, if you don't treat them at the very heart or root of it, they can metastasize and become very, very troublesome to society. So if you are talking about leadership, a leader must be very assertive and stoic. A leader must be driven by empathy, and which of course the governor has shown a substantial dose of it. Because if you look at today in Anambra State market, traders who have capital less than 100,000 do not pay taxes. People who sell, artisans, vulcanizers, and all sorts, they do not pay tax. Our tax system in Anambra happens to be one that has the most human face. If you ask me, this is the same. This is still a governor who has provided free education, free and qualitative education for children of these traders and the citizens of the state. This is a governor who has provided free antenatal and free medical, free delivery for pregnant women who are wives to these traders and all that. So if this same governor has this heart to provide this public good, he should also have much more heart to ensure that nothing threatens public good, because you cannot build a society for individuals who are crass. For you to actually have a decent society, it must first be driven by decent humans.
Well, Benjamin Franklin said that it is better for 100 guilty people to go scot-free than for one innocent to be made to suffer. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem like what is happening in Anambra State, because many people are going to be casualties of this war. We hope that it is resolved soon. We look forward to speaking with you again when we hear of the meeting between the market leaders and the governor. We hope that this is resolved for the benefit of Anambra and that we can come to a logical conclusion that benefits all. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning. Mazi Ejimofor Opara, we look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you for talking with us. Thank you.